numbers that are in green signify the increase. In other words, we are saying the number that you see in black is plus the numbers that are in green. So the sector has been growing, whether you talk in the public sector, you can see in terms of this class, we've seen the growth of over 200,000 learners that got into the system, as you can see. During COVID, we are around 12 million. We are well over 13,700,000 learners in the system. The sad story is that the growth in learner numbers has not led to the requisite or proportional growth in teacher posts. The number of learners is increasing, but it doesn't increase proportional to the number of teachers who are supposed to teach those learners. The same applies to schools. You can see that we've built more schools, 376 schools. If you compare the schools that government has built, the private sector has built 237 schools. I'm sure we can do even more than that. The unique context of the class of 2025. This class started in grade 1 in 2014. It received education from CAP's Curriculum Assessment and Policy Statement, which is a national curriculum statement. In grade 8, this class experienced a number of challenges because they started grade 8 in 2021 at the height of COVID, where you experience stop and go in terms of rotational classrooms and so on. But not only that, this class also experienced a number of disruptions, as you can see, which we have summarized in the presentation. It was also not examination fit. And when learners are not examination fit, the remedy that you have is to expose them to more assessment to get them examination fit. We have to structure a recovery plan from 2021 to 2023 to make sure that in terms of contact time, time on task for learning, they do catch up. This is a very interesting slide which gets South Africa talking. It can become controversial at times, but for me, it's an innocent slide. Now, what we've tried to do this time around is just to illustrate the difference in progression in numbers between the class of 2024 and 2025. And the numbers in red indicate the increase in the progression of the numbers of the class of 2025 compared to the class of 2024. In other words, for us to arrive at 40,000 more learners, you track it from this slide. The decrease is observed, especially in grade 8 and grade 9. We know that grade 8 is the first grade of high school, and some people are saying it could, of course, be because of the transition from primary school to high school. And in grade 9, you can see that the cognitive demand of the curriculum is beginning to lead to more of these learners not being able to easily progress to grade 10. But you also see a big gap between grade 10 and grade 12, which is what we need to work on. Some people are saying schools might still be killing learners, which means retaining learners that do not guarantee them a very good pass in grade 12. But we are saying we are seeing an increase from 1 year to another in grade 12. We'll observe that and follow it closely with all our schools to make sure that the policy of progression is followed And the policy of progression dictates that learners should not spend more than 4 years in a phase. Effectively, it means learners are allowed to fail only once, and beyond that they must progress to the next grade. And by the way, I take it that you are aware that many countries in the world follow automatic progression. And when we made that revelation to our public, people thought that it's countries only in Africa, only to discover that it's actually countries who are in the developing world who are allowing automatic progression. This slide gives an indication of the learners who have been able to write exams for all the 7 subjects. In other words, if you miss one paper, you would still be accounted for as absent because you do not present all your papers unless if you are considered for concession. There are cases for concessions which we take to Umalusi for Umalusi to consider for concession. So it would include even learners who might have missed 2 papers, 3 papers, but it doesn't mean that they did not write exams at all. So the 2.34% includes everybody. The full-time enrollment, we had an increase, the highest number so far, which is good, which shows that the system is experiencing stability. The numbers are growing. In grade 12, as we have shown, that progression from one grade to the other, cumulatively, it then shows at the exit point of the system. Part-time candidates, the numbers are going down. The question is why? The logic is very simple. As the system performs better for full-time candidates, there are fewer learners who pitch as part-time candidates to improve their results. That's as simple as all that. So if we continue to improve our results, we reduce the cohort of part-time learners. And I want to encourage provinces to allow learners to repeat because they perform better when they repeat instead of going as part-time candidates. I've come across schools that allow learners to perform and to repeat. And some of those schools attain 100% pass rate in many of our provinces. This is the breakdown for full-time candidates. I've already indicated the difference between this year and last year is 40,000. Part-time candidates, I've explained the reason why, the decrease. The growth between the female and male candidates, there's a slight decline of 0.2%, and that decline has been picked up by female candidates to a growth of 0.2. So it means the system is really stable. Enrollment per subjects, last year we indicated some decreases. For 2025 class, you can see there's growth all the way. The growth is not in the numbers that we are happy about, particularly in accounting, economics, business studies, mathematics. In our meeting with the president yesterday, he gave us this task. And I'm happy that we've started a project with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. I saw some of the colleagues who are here already. We are going to work with provinces to make sure that we grow the numbers of mathematics. We have to grow the uptake of mathematics and technical mathematics to reduce the numbers of mathematical literacy. Mathematical literacy is important for social use, for people to be able to manage their lives and run their lives, personal lives and otherwise effectively. But we need to reduce the numbers to increase those numbers of mathematics and technical mathematics. Technical subjects, slight increase. If I would have it my way, I would lobby the whole country. This is where we should go. the whole country should be mobilized to get its children to offer technical subjects. Technical subjects are important for now and the future. If you are interested in the future and your survival now, technical subjects is the way to go. It's not like during our times, when you do technical subjects, then you are deemed to be less cognitively abled, or, you know, not as intelligent as people who are following the academic stream. In fact, the future bodes better or well for those who follow the technical stream than any other stream. So the numbers are growing, but they are growing in a very minuscule manner. So we need to grow those numbers. The president also challenged us to come up with a plan to make sure that we grow the numbers of technical subjects. And I said to the President, we actually need a technical school for every circuit. There are 889 circuits in the country. At least every circuit must have a technical high school so that we move these numbers. 60 to 70% of our children must do technical subjects, rather than over 90% of them doing academic pathway. And this is the breakdown of the numbers. South African Sign Language. We've had a slight drop to 158, a drop of about 17. And I was saying to the team, the growth was too phenomenal. In 2024, Professor Balim, it's because parents kept their children in 2020, 2021, and then in 2022, boom, 210. Now, the system is beginning to normalize. You can see that 150, 160, it's where we should be, actually. Progressed learners. The system is also beginning to cleanse itself. Progression is no longer a swear word, and you can see that the numbers are also reducing. So most or many learners are able to meet the requirements for progression. So you don't need to push them through because of the policy. You can see that there's drastic reduction in the number of progressed learners. Full-time enrollment by age. The system is also showing great stability. You can see we still have learners at 17-year-old in grade 12. We still have them at age 16, age 15. And the question might be, where do they come from? Because they are supposed to have started school at age 7. Some come from home education. Some come from, you know, other institutions or pathways of learning, like online learning, of course, after going through primary school and so on, at a very early age, and they do very well. And somebody said they seem to be progressing very well when you take them as early as possible. And you can see the older learners going down, it's actually tapering down as you move with the graph. Part-time, you can also see that many learners are actually going to enroll for part-time to upgrade their subjects. It could be learners who enrolled in 2024, 2025, they come to enroll to improve their subjects because they want to increase their prospects of furthering their studies and so on. And that you can also see, many of them are young. And as you go down with the graph, I mean, the numbers are reducing drastically, which means young people are really interested in the future. Young people are getting themselves ready for the future. We just have to get the market receptive to their efforts and so on. Full-time enrollment by age and gender. Female learners are doing exceptionally well. The issue of early unwanted pregnancies getting learners to drop out of school. The data doesn't agree with that. The data seems to tell a different story. It says girls are coming back, and girls are coming back better than boys. And this is good news for the country. It means our policies are working. Our policy on learner pregnancy is working, allowing our girl learners to come back to school and to support them and make sure that they succeed. In terms of part-time, again, girl learners seem to be more serious about picking up the pieces, upgrading, and making sure that they meet the requirements of the certificate, and they also upgrade so that they further their studies. They seem to be exceeding in numbers compared to boys. And this again bodes very well for our country. It means our policies are beginning to have that impact of getting learners to prioritize their education and make sure that they are ready. Here is another excellent story about learners with special education needs. The numbers have grown by over 4,000 learners with special education needs, the most vulnerable in our society. Development of any country, experts are saying you also measure it by the extent to which it looks after its most vulnerable. And therefore you can see that the numbers have grown here, which is good. Barriers to learning for learners with special education needs, and many of these are in our mainstream schools. They are not necessarily in your schools for learners with special education needs. For instance, a learner who requires a scribe, a learner who requires more time to do work, to write exams, to do assessments and so on, are in your mainstream school. They are not necessarily in your schools for learners with special education needs. Our system is able to cater for that, and we do a comparison between 2024 and 2025. You can see that the numbers have grown from 8,000 to 10,000. Almost more by about 2,300 more barriers to learning which have been identified. Now, how do you respond to barriers to learning? You provide what is called accommodation and concession. And this is for 2024, you had 10,000 accommodation, 737. In 2025, the number has grown by over 7,000 of learners who are accommodated in the system. So if you had doubts that we only focus on these learners who do not have barriers and we don't provide support to others, the data says we've made a very good attempt in making sure that we provide for those learners who need support. We still need to reach out to many, and many of the children who need this accommodation are in quintile 1 to 3, the poorest of the poor. And government will have to pay the bill to make sure that they go through assessment and they are also taken on board to be among these ones. Because before you qualify for that, you have to go through assessment. And as government, we have to make sure that we reach out to the poor, because the middle class are able to pay that on their own. Social grants. Well, I've got sweet and sour news here. The sour news is that learners who still benefit from the grant have reduced by 139,574. This is sad. In fact, not reduced by 139, they've reduced by 13,058, sorry. They've reduced by 13,058. But those who are no longer receiving the grant, they've now increased by 44,741. We discussed this with the president. We said, President, it can't be right. The grant is not available at the time when these learners need it most. In their grade 12 year, in their final year of schooling. He said, it can't be right. President said, put a proposal together with social development. come to cabinet. This would come out well as an incentive to keep them at school and say, for as long as you are at school, you can receive the grant. I know for those who are in charge of finances, it might not suggest good news. It might mean we dig deeper into the coffers of the country. But if it's about our children, our future, then let's all sacrifice and make sure that our children are cushioned and they are able to do well in grade 12. This is different types of social grants. Child support grant being the biggest, both in active and inactive. This is the support program. And our philosophy is that the primary support is in the classroom. It's directed to the teacher, to the learner. Basic functionality of our classrooms, our schools. There must be LTSM. There must be ICT support. There must be that are focused on the classroom. The rest of these other things of the extra tuition and so on, they are just supplementary to the main. The main is the focus in the classroom. And for the past few years, I think we've made an indelible mark in focusing on the classroom. Working with our entities like the NECT, working with our NGO like PILO and others to lay a solid foundation in the classroom. And of course, you need to support what happens in the classroom and the school and so on. And this is what is listed here as the support that is provided in our schools and our classroom. The diagnostic report is important. It's an amazing resource which should be in the hands of every learner, every educator. And how the diagnostic report is put together after every examination, the chief markers, internal moderators, who took the pain to abandon their holidays. They meet at DBE, they look at how learners have performed, look at the errors, look at the misconceptions, document them, and say, this is what we have found. And this is how you correct the errors. This is how you correct the misconception. And if every learner and every teacher could have a diagnostic report, I'm sure it's going to be easy, Professor Balim, to go over 90%. Because teachers and learners would know what to avoid, and they will know what to focus on to get the best mark ever. So this is an important resource which every learner and teacher must have. We're targeting the gateway subjects at the moment, but the specialists are even developing the same for others. Provinces are also doing the same to develop their own diagnostic reports. Well, in the course of carrying out national duty, we unfortunately lost one marker, one national priceless precious asset. A teacher whose area of specialization is mathematics tragically got demised on her way to the marking. We want to, even at the moment, convey our profound and profuse condolences to the family and friends, but celebrate her immense contribution and pledge to continue to work hard and sacrifice like this teacher did. The size of the enterprise. Now, the president, when we told the president that this enterprise is second only to national and local government elections, it's huge, it's intensive. It starts with the number of candidates, full-time, part-time, question papers, 162, 11 million printed question papers, 11 million. 10.8 million scripts from learners who would have written from these question papers, 6,948 examination centers, 75 invigilators. And I want to salute the invigilators because they get the system to run. But I want to express our disappointment about some invigilators who are not doing their work. Learners are involved in group copying because it's facilitated by some of the teachers and some of the invigilators. Learners use cell phones in the examination room because invigilators are not picking this up. Learners are not supposed to get with these devices into the examination room to start with. The learners that got their results withheld, we believe, in fact, the National Investigation Task Team has picked up that some of these activities took place under the watch of invigilators. We're very sad about those. But we know the overwhelming majority of our invigilators are doing their work and they do it exceptionally well. And we are very proud of them. 192 marking centers spread across the length and breadth of the country, 55,000 markers, and that's the size of this enterprise. And this is the breakdown. Just a few observations regarding challenges. Learners who took ill because of lots of anxiety. The NSC, it's also associated with a lot of stress. And somebody said this morning when I was briefing them, this stress cuts across the grades. So we need to up our psychosocial support, not only in grade 12, but even from the lowest grade, covering both learners and teachers. I've committed that in January I'm going to mobilize psychosocial support this month and make sure that we cover all grades and all the teachers. Water and electricity, we are not spared from that. We do face challenges of water and electricity. Inclement weather, and I'll show you some of the pictures. We had to meet every day to guide marking centers, to support provinces in managing inclement weather, whether it's excessive heat, whether it's heavy rainfall, all types of inclement weather as to what should be done. We had to really focus on marker well-being and raise pertinent issues around the well-being of markers to make sure that our markers are able to do their work and finish in 10 days. The leakage of question papers was a big blow in our hard work, in our enormous sacrifice. But credit goes to the National Investigation Task Team, who have done an excellent work. Men and women with an impeccable track record of performance, who worked flat out when some of us were on holiday during the festive season. They were working up to New Year's Day, pulling it through. On the 6th of January, they were ready to present the report to Umalusi. We really want to thank them. We've got amazing South Africans who are able to do this work. But this must be avoided. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we plug on the gaps that have been identified throughout the entire system to make sure that we don't experience a repeat of this. I've learned from Professor Balim. Professor Balim says there is nothing in life that is fail-proof. In other words, that is insulated from failure. He says it's an engineering philosophy. You build bridges in such a way when they fail, they still remain safe. So we need to build our system such that when they fail, they still remain safe. Where there are lapses, we review, we strengthen, and we make sure that we plug on the gaps identified. We also experience protest actions, and I must say that We are pleased that no learner missed an exam this time around because of protest action. Law enforcement agencies, our officials and teachers did exceptionally well to make sure that learners do not miss exams. This is what happened in Harry Gwala district in KZN. Ponela Special School. I visited this school as one of the marking centers that I visited. The day before I visited them, they experienced a terrible hailstorm, which destroyed the windscreens of many of their cars. The cars were dented. We show in just a few of them. The evening after I left to cover other centers, I then learned about the second storm that visited them again, and they had, some of them were using even mattresses to try and cover the windscreens of their cars from experiencing a similar damage that you see here. This is the sacrifice that teachers are making. And if teachers are making this sacrifice, I always say the sacrifice that we are making compared to what teachers are making is a walk in the park. National Senior Certificate pass requirements. I think this is the favorite topic of Mr. Musi Maimani. I will leave it to him, but my humble plea is that he could also look at some of the bullet points that he might miss when he reads these pass requirements. But I wouldn't want to take much of your time, telling you about what the requirements. There is no qualification that allows learners to pass with only 30%. Even the National Senior Certificate, you at least have to pass your home language at 40%, as you can see. You must obtain at least 40% of the 2 other subjects. Then the others, you can get them at 30%. And we are pleased, Honorable Sharif, about the fact that Parliament did not allow that motion to go through. It would have been a sad day for our country. I think would be a laughing stock of the world. That matters that are specialized in this nature are decided in Parliament instead of leaving it to the experts to deal with them. Standardization, I think it's important to understand that standardization is your moderation. Moderation is important in education. Sometimes papers are set far above the standard. Sometimes are set far below the standard. That's where standardization comes in. And I want to use this opportunity to say that when the Assessments and Standards Committee of Umalusi standardizes the subject, they don't do it individually. They standardize a subject, the whole group. And it depends where your marks are on the graph. They are not targeting learners. They don't do it learner by learner. So we've received letters where people are saying, Umalusi standardized this subject by bringing it down. That's why my marks are lower. Where were you on the graph? First, you must tell us where you were on the graph. And secondly, standardization is not for individual learners, but it's for a group. It's an international phenomenon. In other countries, they use boundaries. They move boundaries. 1 year, if the paper it appears to be easier, the boundary is moved up. If it appears to be difficult, they lower the boundary. I think there are experts in the room, they explain this even more. I think it's important. You can see that the decisions that were arrived at brought us at 56 subjects accepted on raw out of 68, which is 82% comparable only to 2012 at the same percentage, and you can see. And some people, when they interpret this, they say the system is beginning to stabilize. Well, as I'm about to finish, a system such as ours, the health of the system is not only determined by matric results. There are many indicators that determine the health of the system. Worldwide, UNESCO uses what is called social justice principle to determine progress, especially in social services. We've made some progress, in fact, good progress in 4 out of 6. We are beginning to make an indelible mark in the 2 that were giving us problems in the past. You'll see, even in the results that we are going to share with you. Well, Minister Kwahube will unblock this section that is blocked here. But the good news is that we are making progress, making good progress in the system. You can see, of course, I must put a caveat. The population must be taken into account of each and every period because it's not the same. I think currently we're sitting about 68 million in the country. So you have to take that into account when you look at these different years or different dispensations. The same, but the good trend here is that, I mean, our results have been going up. And I told people this morning that I served in this sector when we're at 50% and below. 50% and below. We never dreamt that it would happen in our lifetime, that we'll have our performance at 80%. It never happened. And I challenged colleagues, I said 90% must happen in our lifetime. Must still happen in our lifetime. And I mean, the sector has been going up. We dropped in 2020. And when we said to people, it's real, it's COVID, learners were not going to school regularly, they were unable to prepare properly, they said it's an excuse. But look at what happened in 2021. We went up. 22, we maintained the trend. 23, the trajectory is continuing. 24, we even moved up by over 4%. So, which means that there is stability in the system. And it's very rare that you find a system as big as ours being able to maintain a trajectory, an upward trajectory of this nature. Right, and this is what is going to be announced by the minister, delineating the results per province there. And here you can see we've even worked out where the improvements are. And the president commended us that the basic education sector has got immense data. You just get lost in this maze of data. You can see that fee-paying schools, we're able to work out how they've performed. And the AG will be very happy about this because we are really here determining value for money. Value for money. Independent schools, you can see we even showing you the improvement across provinces and so on, which can tell you how provinces are performing in those 3 categories of schools. And later on, we'll then be able to show you the majority of schools are in your no fee-paying schools. The reason why we block them, if you get the data from that site, you've got the results. You don't need to come and wait for the minister. The gender split, there is an improvement. Boys doing slightly better than girl learners. But the difference, or the differences are very minuscule. Bachelor trends, you can see we've also been going up, just going up that way. But last year's improvement was too big. Systems as big as ours have got a tendency to self-correct. You've seen with learners with special education need, if there's a big jump, the system brings you back and say, not so high. You need to move gradually. It's a big system. It's like a Boeing 747. Bachelor pass trends, by numbers over the years, again, you can see the numbers have just been growing. And we expect the numbers to grow even this year. We expect an improvement there even this year. Bachelor numbers per province, we expect provinces to also improve in this regard. Broadly, we expect provinces to improve. Percentages, and then passes by type of qualifications. You can see that diploma passes, higher certificate, including national senior certificate, the performance is better than last year. I can say it here. It's better than last year. You can see it. Bachelor's and diploma passes by fee-paying school. We're showing you there that fee-paying, there's an improvement of 0.3%. Independent schools, 1.2%. Fee-paying school, a drop of 2.2% in terms of bachelor and diploma passes. And then again, we comparing performance by qualification type, and we comparing 2024 and 2025. 2025 seems to be doing slightly better than 2024. And then bachelor achievements by grades. We looked at, by gender, sorry. We looked at overall performance by gender. This time we're looking at only bachelor. You can see that the males dropped by 2% and the females dropped by 1%, which means the girl learners, again, they are doing better. I'm going to move over this a little faster. The numbers are getting better towards the right, up to 80 to 100% and 100% and so on. You can see that the system is doing very well. It's improving, which means on the left, the numbers are getting lesser and they are increasing towards the right. Progressed learners, the performance is 54.30%, and the province that leads all other provinces here is in Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga is leading, and it's followed by KwaZulu-Natal, as you can see, in terms of progressed learners. And these are, you know, the performance of progressed learners by achievement and qualification. I'm going to move over. You can see the contribution is 6.3%. And this is just the pie graph to show the performance of the 9 provinces. You can see Mpumalanga is head and shoulder above everyone else, followed by KZN. And then schools by poverty level, quintiles. Quintile 1 to 3. You can see, again, I want to draw your attention to 80 to 100% and 100% and above. Of course, in terms of 100, quintile 1 to 3 dropped this year compared to last year. But in terms of 80 to 100, you can see an improvement there. And the rest of the other categories have gone up. This is the favorite slide of the president. He calls this slide a silent revolution that the country doesn't seem to pay attention to. Now, in 2000, the year 2000 and before, 80% of bachelors were accounted for by 20% of schools, which are your affluent schools. In 2025, you can see we've moved leaps and bounds. That picture has changed, which means that 20% of your schools will be your affluent schools, quintile 4 and 5. But the picture is changing, and I challenged one of our stakeholders today. I said to them, in the next 5 to 10 years, we need to look at 80% of bachelors coming from quintile 1 to 3. It will be a healthy split. 20% quintile 4 and 5. It doesn't mean when you increase the quota of quintile 1 to 3 the quintile 4 to 5 will underperform. They would still perform, but the split will be much healthier, reflecting the reality of the country. Because over 80% of our schools are not fee-paying schools. Over 90% of our schools are receiving national school for national program for school funding. So you can see that quintile 1 to 3, slight drop of 0 to 4, but an increase of 3,509 bachelors because of the proportion of the size of the group that enrolled. Even though the percentage has increased, but the number, the percentage has decreased, the number has increased. Quintile 4 to 5, slightly increased by 0 to 4%, and contributing 3,823. We can still grow this even further going forward. In the interest of time, I'm going to run quicker over the other slides. Age, the notion of catching them young, the younger they are, the better they perform. Because they focus on education, they don't have other things to focus on, they just focus on schooling. And what we emphasize is that learners must go to school every day. Go to school every day. If you are online, keep to the point of contact every day. Here, what we are trying to demonstrate is that except for areas that we've highlighted with circles, like age 16, in other areas, the class of 2025 is performing better than the class of 2024 in terms of age. In terms of gender again, girl learners, where we have circled, girl learners are doing better than boys. And you can see it's in the majority of those ages, girl learners are simply performing better, finishing their schooling on time. And this is the breakdown. I'm going to move and I'm going to jump this one. You can see that in accounting, Limpopo is leading in performance in terms of achievement. Limpopo is followed by Western Cape. Mathematics achievement, Western Cape is leading, and it's followed by Northwest. Physical science, Limpopo is leading again, and followed by Western Cape. Technical mathematics, KZN is leading the pack, pushing it almost to 100%. Maths participation, the number of learners who are doing mathematics. And let me emphasize, there are 3 types of mathematics that we are offering in our schools. It's pure mathematics, it's technical mathematics, mathematics for artisans, technical mathematics if you want to know. And then there's mathematical literacy. Mathematical literacy is for social use, to be able to run your personal life better, to work out your accounts and be able to manage your budget on a day-to-day life. You need math lit to prepare you for that. In fact, some experts are saying even those that are doing technical maths and pure mathematics, they need math lit to be able to run their lives properly. Because there'll be maths experts, there'll be astronomers who don't know how to run their lives, medical doctors, and even pilots who don't know how to run their lives. Bachelors, KZN is leading in terms of percentages, of course followed by the Western Cape. Distinction, KZN is leading, and of course followed by the Western Cape. Throughput, Western Cape is leading, followed by Eastern Cape. South African Sign Language, there's an improvement of 1.3%, which is good. Raw marks that were attained from the examination. And I want to thank the ASC of Umalusi for having said to us, you have to work on the South African Sign Language. Make sure that you support these schools and support learners. Here they are, on their own, they are able to perform. Technical maths, these subjects are doing well. You can see overall they are doing well. There might be some slight drops in some of these subjects, but overall they are doing well. There's no reason why our children are not doing these subjects. The majority of them have got to do them, because that's what will equip them better to be more attracted by the market and be able to solve our problems now and even in the future. These are the home languages. You can see some of them drop slightly, as you can see there. These are the official first languages. You can see overall performance good, but drop in some. And these are the selected subjects. You see some of them dropped, and some of them went up. You can say that the summary of our story is sweet and sour. First additional language level, and that's the performance there. Technical subjects, as I've said, some of the decline you see, it's very minuscule, it's very small. But we have to be transparent. These are the numbers that we put out. Well, the good news is that we no longer have any district that is below 80% in the Republic of South Africa. Nobody thought that it can be achieved. In fact, some districts that we are about to give up on have performed so well that they've even exceeded expectation. I think we can give them a big hand of applause. Now, in the top 10 districts, there's a lot of movement there. And I must warn, even in the ranking of provinces, there's movement. Some which were on the top, they are no longer in the top. If you look for them, you have to find them somewhere. Some which were in the middle are no longer there. Some which were at the bottom, you will not find them there. You can see even the top 10 districts, some of them are brand new. Some were there. And we are indicating the analysis there. And I think the hard work has paid off in many respects. I mean, we're calling our bottom 10 districts, they are above 80. You can see them. They are above 80, but we call them bottom 10. And the message that I want to remind the district directors about, we said get out of the 80s, go 90 and above, you'll sit comfortably there. There's too much traffic in the 80s. Puma empakatini. There's too much. I mean, the differences around the 80s are very small. In fact, we had great difficulty. We had to move to the third decimal point to rank districts. So get out of the 80s, go to the 90s. You'll sit comfortably there. Learners with special education needs, we've seen an improvement there. You can see that Gauteng is leading there in terms of learners with special education needs. Distinctions, you can see that there's a bit of hemorrhaging there. And I said to the President, austerity measures are beginning to bite. And they start with the quality, they hit at our quality, Mr. President. And the President said, come back, tell me what is it that you want me to do so that we deal with some of the challenges that you are saying are caused by austerity measures. Some of the food soldiers, circuit managers, subject advisors are unable to visit the schools and support them as often as they should. because the budget doesn't allow. They are limited. You exceed your limit, you can't go and visit, you can't go and monitor. And the president said we must come back and talk to him. The selected subjects, you can see it's a mixed bag. Some of them have gone down. Distinctions among progressed learners, that's the picture. Who would have thought that as a progressed learner, there's somebody who can get distinctions in mathematics and physical science? You might end up getting somebody who becomes a pilot, who becomes a medical doctor, who was given a tag of a progressed learner. Simply because learners, were faced with some glitches in their progression, you don't condemn them to underperformance. And as I always maintain, there's no dustbin for human beings. So you can see that progressed learners can also perform better than expected. Well, the third news is that learners who receive social grants, the performance has dropped from 86.06 to 77.70, but the number of learners who passed increased by 33,258. I'm sure some are saying this is contradictory. It's not. Because of the size of the group that went through the system, the percentage has gone down, but the numbers have gone up because they are more than the learners of last year. Far more than the learners of last year. And this is what I referred to earlier on. You can see that there's a slight drop between active and inactive. But look at those who are no longer receiving the grant, the impact is even bigger. Thanks to the challenge that the president put to us to say we must take to cabinet a proposal to keep these learners in the system so that they perform even better in future. In terms of gender, there's a drop also. Females drop by 9.91%. And the males dropped by 6.17%. Performance by qualification, you can see it there as we compare these two. Correctional services, from 96.18 to 96.15, they dropped only by 0.03. I'm sure you can applaud them. Minister Lamola is going to throw a very big party. The part-time candidates, they improved by 3.78%, correctional services, and in selected subjects for part-time learners, our part-time learners have performed very well compared to last year and previous years. I'm sure you can applaud them as well. You can see their subjects have really improved. That brings me to the end, and we've summarized the results in terms of the social justice principle. Thank you very much for indulging me, and thank you.
Thank you, DG, for a job well done. Let's give our DG another round of applause. And I must say that our DG over the years has learned the art of concealing the most important information. And I think he's done that exceptionally well. This brings us to the end, and I think our DG has given you enough food for thought. And we are going to take a short little break, and we need to get the auditorium arranged for the live broadcast. But I'm now going to hand you over to Mr. Terence Kala, who is our Director for Communications, just to give us the way forward and what now follows. Terence Kala? Let me get hold of him.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good evening to everyone. Standing before you is Terence Kala. I'm the Acting Director for Communications here at the Department of Basic Education. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. You look absolutely amazing out there in the crowd. I just want to say something. We will be turning the room over in preparation for our live broadcast. What we will request is for everyone just to take a short comfort break, exit the room as we turn the room over and prepare to now begin with the official announcement of the results of the class of 2025. We thank the DG once more, and we thank all of you for listening in so diligently and taking in the presentation that the DG has just offered. If we would all please just vacate the room in preparation for turning over for the live broadcast. Thank you very much to everyone that's joined us for the technical briefing.
Take note that no emergency drills are planned for this evening. However, in the unlikely event of an emergency, we kindly request that all guests exit the auditorium in a calm and orderly manner using the clearly marked exits at the back and along the sides of the venue. Our ushers are on hand to assist and will guide you to the designated and marked safety zones outside the auditorium. Now, may we please all rise for the singing of the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa. Thank you. Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Senior Certificates Results Announcement and the Top Achiever Award Ceremony for the class of 2025. And now, please welcome our Program Director for this evening.
Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Sipiwe Kwagube, our Deputy Minister, Dr. Regina Mhaule, DG Matanzi Mamweli, Premiers, MECs, HODs, sector and corporate partners, our exceptional learners, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the National Senior Certificate Examination Results Announcement for the class of 2025. I'd like to extend a heartfelt welcome to all South Africans joining us live across the country. My name is Tsehohajo Moachi, and I am your program director. A big honor for me to be your program director this evening. Our sign language interpreters are Andiswa Gebashe, Fortune Madala, Nicoline Dutoy, and Pearl Mbolekwa. Tonight marks an extraordinary milestone in the journey of more than 900,000 learners who sat for the National Senior Certificate exams as the class of 2025. This evening, we have the honor of joining the Minister of Basic Education as she officially announces the National Senior Certificate results for this cohort. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to pause and to reflect on the human stories behind the dedication and sacrifice, determination and hope that define this particular cohort. In the weeks and months leading up to the NSC exams, our matriculants faced long days, extremely late nights, and countless moments of perseverance. Their journeys are as diverse as our country, and yet they were united by their shared commitment to succeed.
Class of 2025.
My name is Kutlano Kojwane and I'm class of 2025.
Naledi Mujang, class of 2025.
Mukoni Lindobuhle Ramabonga and I am a part of class of 2025.
I'm Nontlantla Matabe, class of 2025.
Kamkhelo More, class of 2025.
Luandim Tambo, class of 2025.
Luanje Kumalo, class of 2025. It's been an amazing year.
It was the best experience of my life. The year has been tough.
For me, this year had its ups and downs.
2025 was a difficult year for me.
But I believe that I and other students have made it through.
I'd like to thank my teachers and the Department of Basic Education for making this year possible.
And as for now, I'm looking forward to
The official announcement of the National Senior Certificate Examination results
2025.
Stay tuned.
What a moving reminder that behind every result is a young person with a story, shaped by discipline and extraordinary determination. Supporting the journeys of these young people, ladies and gentlemen, requires partnerships, strong partnerships that believe in the potential of our young people and consistently step forward to help unlock it. This evening, we are proud to welcome back one of our most valued and long-standing partners. MTN has been an integral part of the National Senior Certificate results announcement for the past 6 years, standing with learners, with families, and the education sector as a whole in moments that shape the future of our country. Now please join me in welcoming the Group Chief Sustainability and Corporate Affairs at MTN SA, Nompilo Morafo, to the podium.
Honorable Ministers, Honorable Premier, Deputy Ministers, MECs and officials, ladies and gentlemen, and to the members of the Matric class of 2025, all protocols observed. It is an honor for us, MTN, to be standing here today in support of the Matric 2025 results. MTN was established in South Africa at the dawn of democracy in 1994 as a leader in transformation. Our story is a clear one. We have a belief that says everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected life. For that reason, we believe that connectivity alone could help unlock opportunity and access for everyone. For more than 3 decades, MTN have grown alongside this nation of South Africa through moments of progress and also moments of challenges. By harnessing the talent of our diverse people in this country, MTN now also offers services beyond South Africa. We now, ladies and gentlemen, offer services to more than 300 million Africans across the continent. MTN South Africa proudly serves about 40 million of these subscribers. Our customers are here, our people are here, our families are here, and our futures, therefore, are here. South Africa is not simply one of MTN markets, but it is our home. We believe strongly that the success of South Africa is intrinsically linked to the success of MTN as a whole, as a group. At MTN, we understand that education is not just about social good, but it is a national imperative. Education is the engine that drives opportunity, economic participation, and inclusive growth. Through the MTN Foundation, more than half of our social investment goes into education. We do this because we know that long-term national progress does not begin in boardrooms, but it begins in classrooms. Our partnership, therefore, with the Department of Basic Education reflects our belief that Responsible corporate citizens cannot stand on the sidelines and watch. It is important to note that no learner in this room has succeeded alone. Behind every student here today, it took a village. It took parents, it took caregivers, it took teachers, principals, support staff, and yes, our communities where we come from. Your belief, this is to young people, your belief and the sacrifice that your parents had in you have helped shape what you have become today. Today belongs to all of us, including the parents and the caregivers to our children. And to the class of 2025, we are here for you. We believe in you. You are capable, you are talented, and you are ready. MTN will continue to walk this journey with you. We will continue to walk the journey with the Department of Basic Education because we invest in education and therefore we're investing in the future of South Africa. Congratulations on everything you have achieved, and we'd like to really congratulate the class of 2025 on everything that lies ahead. Thank you.
And I love what Ms. Nompilo Morafo had to say, where she says no learner can succeed alone. And it's very true. We come together as communities, and we're also very grateful for partners such as MTN. Let's please give her another round of applause. Now, if one thing is certain, is that the future belongs to our youngest citizens. Today, they are in the classrooms. Tomorrow, they are in the lecture halls. And in the years ahead, they're in boardrooms. They are in positions of leadership. They are in communities across the country. Since assuming office, the Minister of Basic Education has approached her responsibility with a lot of energy, with purpose, taking the time to listen, taking the time to learn, and to engage directly with the learners, with teachers, with school leaders, parents, and civil society across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming the Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Siviwe Gwagube, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you very much, everybody. Director, honorable ministers, ministers, premiers and MECs, members of parliament and provincial legislatures, the chairperson, council and CEO of Umalusi, leaders of education unions, SGB associations, our partners from civil society, academia, business, and our sponsors, educators, parents, and learners and members of the media, and the South Africans watching at home, molweni and good evening. Today we honor the class of 2025 and the families, teachers, and communities who carried them to this moment. We affirm our trust in the credibility of the National Senior Certificate results as that has been checked and approved by Umalusi. And tonight I want to speak very plainly about what these results tell us, about what the health of our system is like, where we are progressing, and where we must act with urgency and lift quality and strengthen equity. And then at the end of my remarks, I will announce the national results and the provincial outcomes, so we can receive the numbers with both clarity and with purpose. These are the second NSC results released in South Africa's new era of a multi-party government. 20 months ago, in May 2024, South Africans chose cooperation over division, maturity over instability, and shared responsibility over blame. And from that choice came the government of national unity to strengthen institutions, to grow the economy, and to create jobs. And what matters the most is that even as this power shifted, our country did not splinter. We proved that we can renew ourselves without collapse, change without chaos, and work together in the national interest. Education sits at the center of that national project because our future is formed in classrooms long before it is debated. The Department of Basic Education is charting a new path. We do so with humility, and we do so with gratitude for those who have come before. We honor our predecessors in this office, including Professor Sibusiso Bengu, Democratic South Africa's first Minister of Education, who helped lay key legislative and policy foundations for our system. And former Ministers Kada Asmal, Naledi Pandor, and Angie Motshekga. Yes, the path ahead requires new energy, fresh choices, different priorities, but we do not begin from nothing. We are building from where they have left off. When we assumed office 18 months ago, we did so with a clear understanding of the terrain that is before us. Education has long carried a particular weight in our national story, shaping opportunity and social mobility across generations. The system we steward today reflects both that history and the unfinished work of building a more equitable future. It bears the imprint of deep inequality, yet it remains the most powerful instrument we have for expanding opportunity and strengthening social cohesion. South Africans, we cannot be content to keep the system running with its deepest problems remaining untouched. We must choose a new course for basic education. And that new course has already begun. It is a root-deep reform guided in evidence and in our relentless efforts and what matters the most: quality learning and teaching. In our first year in office, the work of the department was guided by one central question: what must change if education is to be the greatest equalizer that it promises to be? Not in rhetoric, but in lived reality. And so, over the past year, we have worked to stabilize governance across the system. We've rebuilt trust with provinces, districts, unions, and partners. We've protected the fairness and the credibility of national exams. We've shifted the department's focus away from reactive crisis management towards long-term strategic reform. To understand the scale of what we are reforming, we must understand its size. Our system serves approximately 13.5 million learners, supported by more than 460,000 educators across nearly 25,000 schools, managed through hundreds of circuit offices, 75 education districts, and 9 provincial departments. People often ask about quick wins, and I often respond to them by saying, but real reform in a system of this size cannot be PR-led. It is deep work that succeeds only when leadership lines up resources, accountability, trust, data behind one clear direction, and that is strengthening the foundations of learning. We are not in the business of quick wins or grabbing headlines. We are in the business of transforming lives and ensuring that South African children have their best future ahead of them. Ladies and gentlemen, the NSC remains one of the most largest and most complex operations, surpassed only by the national elections. In 2025, more than 900,000 candidates wrote at about 6,000 centers. Millions of scripts were set, printed, written, marked, checked, and quality assured. Where irregularities appeared, they were investigated and they were dealt with immediately. Where weaknesses were found, we strengthened controls and consequence management. We can have confidence that these results, ladies and gentlemen, are earned and they are not gifted. South Africans, we must also put the stubborn myth to rest. 30% is not the matric pass mark. I call upon particularly elected leaders in this House and outside of this House to refrain from populism. Because the danger with this is that it discourages our learners, many of whom have different paths that they will take. Not every single learner who attends a school intends to go to obtain a university degree. Some intend to go obtain skills in the world of work. Some intend on doing different things, which our education system allows. But when we really use the sloganism, we really discourage learners who are differently talented in the system by discouraging them in this kind of sloganism. The NSC is earned by meeting a minimum requirements across a full subject package, including higher thresholds and key subjects with different pass types that open different pathways after school. In turn, learners achieve the right marks in the right subjects in the NSC exams, gain entry into their preferred program at a higher education level. The point is this, ladies and gentlemen. Slogans or percentages alone will not improve learner outcomes. It is whether our standards, progression, and support across the whole schooling journey add up to real readiness. And that is why the National Education and Training Council, established last year for the first time in our history, is reviewing assessment and progression policies across the system, from grade R all the way to grade 12, so that the expectations are clear, the support happens earlier, and that learning gaps do not compound until learners arrive in matric. You see, as I said, this is deep-rooted reform that must look at a system in its entirety, but not grab headlines at the expense of our learners. Raising the bar in grade 12 imposes a moral obligation for us to strengthen the foundations, school readiness, early learning, reading for meaning by age 10, and early numeracy. When we speak about the NSC, we must therefore resist the urge of viewing it as a single moment in time. Matric is not an event. It is a journey that spans for more than a decade. Many learners pursue these milestones under real strain of poverty, of hunger, unsafe environments, long travel, language barriers, overcrowded classrooms, but they still persevere. These realities, ladies and gentlemen, shape performance long before the first exam paper is written. And they are why quality and equity cannot be separated. And yet there's hope, because every year in no-fee schools across South Africa, children are carrying heavy burdens, still walk into classrooms and choose to pursue excellence. They study by candlelight, they share textbooks, they travel far, but they keep going. And when that determination meets dedicated teaching, committed school leadership, and district support, schools, the results can be extraordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2025, we accelerated the work of turning the system towards its foundations. In doing so, we've drawn inspiration from an enduring symbol of our land, the baobab tree. The baobab does not grow quickly or rush skyward. It grows downwards, pushing its roots deep into difficult soil, surviving droughts and storms. Only later does it rise, offering shelter, nourishment, relief, and stability for generations. No tree grows tall when its roots are weak, and no education system transforms when its foundations are weak. So for decades, South Africa rightly focused on expanding access to education. That work was absolutely necessary, and it was just. But access without quality is not equity, and progression without mastery is not opportunity. And so quality is measured by what learners can do and by whether opportunity stays open in particularly gateway subjects. If education is to be an equalizer of opportunity, then a child born in Soweto and a child born in Sandton must receive, at the start of their learning journey, an equal education that equips them to read with meaning, to count confidently, and to imagine their future without limitation. The greatest injustice in our system is not found in grade 12. It is found much earlier, and it is visible in a familiar story I often cite, the story that I call the tale of the two 10-year-olds. The first 10-year-old, Lindiwe, grows up in a home with age-appropriate books. She's read to from the age of 2. She's enrolled in a registered ECD center with trained practitioners, nutritious meals, and supportive caregivers who identify her needs early. By grade 1, she arrives ready, confident, and at 10, she's reading and writing independently and solving maths problems with confidence. The future is wide open to her. Sipho, who's also 10, grows up in a poorer community with no books at home. He does not attend an ECD program. He interacts for the first time with a book when he's in grade 1. But grade 4, he struggles to read and write and count for meaning, not because he lacks potential, but because he has weak foundations of learning, because the system did not prioritize the right things. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, Lindiwe and Sipho are the faces of education inequality in our country. And that is why the greatest injustice is found much earlier in the system. It is found in children who are not thriving by 5, in learners who are unable to read for meaning, in early numeracy gaps that later close the doors to maths and science. The Thrive by 5 index that we released in September last year indicates that 42% of children aged 4 to 5 are developmentally on track. And so too many children start school already behind, and that gap compounds each year. And you'll see how this becomes important when we talk about the culmination of Matric results. Because as I indicated, Matric is not an event. It is a journey that starts and spans over a decade. We said we would change the direction of the system towards early learning in the early years, when inequality either takes root or is dismantled. Over the past year, we've done exactly that. First, we're strengthening early learning, expanding access while driving quality and readiness. As early childhood care and education consolidates into the department, we have put quality and readiness at the center. Siyayazi ukuba le sector iphethwe ngomama, omakhulu, tannies and aunts across the country. Nini abayiqinisileyo, nini abayakhileyo, ezilalini, ezilokishini, nasezidolophini. Yiyo loo nto singurhulumente asizange uzoyixutha, sizothi sizonixhasa ukwenzela uba siphuhlise ikamva labantwana bethu. We are backing practitioners with a clearer curriculum guidance, stronger professional development, and quality improvement pathways that do not exclude the poorest. We set an ambitious target to register 10,000 ECD centers in 2025, and we exceeded it. More than 12,000 centers are registered in 2025, and we're bringing the total registered to over 33,000. This enables more than 1 million children. Colleagues, this enables more than 1 million children to access the subsidy that supports nutrition and quality early learning. To expand access to our rural provinces, we've established an outcomes-based education fund. Through this, we're investing 496 million rand to expand safe, quality early learning and to create over 100,000 new learner spaces in Limpopo, in Eastern Cape, and in KwaZulu-Natal. We have now set a new ambitious target to create 250,000 new ECD spaces by next year. It is ambitious, it is audacious, but it is absolutely necessary. Second, we are strengthening early grade reading using evidence. In November, we released the first ever Funda Uphumelele National Survey. This is where language matters. Funda Uphumelele helps us see where the reading breaks down. But mother tongue-based bilingual education helps us fix it. And that is why we're expanding mother tongue-based bilingual education. And in November this year, for the very first time, South Africa wrote its first bilingual grade 4 assessments in mathematics and natural science. Third, we are improving the tools and conditions for early learning in the early grades. We are finalizing the National Catalogue for Learning and Teaching Support materials for grade 1s to 3, strengthening the last mile delivery, and defining a core support package of non-negotiables for every foundation phase classroom that it should have. For the first time in over 2 decades, we've launched a review of the formula for allocating teaching posts to schools so that it reflects today's pressures, including overcrowding, curriculum demands, and the expansion of early learning. With grade R now compulsory, we will continue to expand access, improve quality with the focus on infrastructure, practitioner development, and learning materials in poor communities. We are currently upskilling 7,000 grade R practitioners through our joint project with UNISA, backing the strategy with real investment. Our shift is focused towards the foundations of learning is gaining international recognition. Our efforts to establish an IPSA network for quality foundational learning has been endorsed by heads of states of India, Brazil, and even our own President Ramaphosa. Fourth, we are strengthening teacher development in practical ways that protect learning time, including prioritizing bursaries for foundation phase students, teachers through Funza Lushaka. And finally, we are treating child well-being and safety as a priority because children cannot learn when they are hungry or unsafe. We are strengthening the National School Nutrition Program and improving accountability, procurement, and monitoring. We are also piloting an ECD nutrition program to prevent child stunting caused by malnutrition. In 2025, we strengthened the school safety protocol with SAPS, and in the first term of 2026, we will be kicking off an anti-bullying campaign with MECs to intensify prevention, reporting, and response at a school level. This year, we will also finally finalize the review of White Paper 6 on inclusive education so that learning barriers are identified early and support reaches learners where vulnerability is at its highest. We are also streaming reporting tools to remove duplication. Teachers have told us that administrative burden is what is really burdening them in schools. So reporting must serve teaching and not just paperwork for the sake of paperwork. For the first time since 1994, we've undertaken a financial analysis of provincial education departments. 7 of 9 provinces have been flagged as financially unsustainable, and provinces were asked to develop financial recovery plans. This work is also supported by our partners, the ELRC, and the drive to eliminate ghost teachers and learners. For teachers, this is what it means in practice: clearer guidance in early grades, better materials in getting to classrooms, less duplicating reporting, and stronger support to protect learning time, especially in the foundation phase. And now, let me turn to what the country has been waiting for: the 2025 NSC results. However, before I announce the national and provincial pass rates, let me share what these results are telling us, because numbers matter most when we understand what sits behind them. This was the largest class in history to sit for the final Matric exams in our country. We are reaching more learners in grade 12 than any other point in our country. However, quantity is only but the starting point. The next phase is about quality, making sure that access translates to learning and learning translates into stronger outcomes, especially in gateway subjects. The story of the class of 2025 begins in 2014. It is a story of resilience, of young people who kept going through difficult seasons, including going through a COVID-19 period when they were in grade 8. In 2014, 1.2 million children entered grade 1. By the same time of the same cohort, they reached grade 10 in 2023, a decrease was about 4% was noted. We therefore have a very high retention rate between grade 1 and grade 10. And I think that speaks to the strength of our system, and the strength of the fact that we recognize the constitutional obligation of keeping children in school for the compulsory going age. However, between grade 10 and 12, a large number of learners begin to repeat, others leave the system, and others leave the schooling system. The full-time grade 12 class of 2025 had 778,000 learners enrolled. This tells us something important, that the largest dropout pressure is not across the whole system. It only intensifies late as learners move to grade 11 and 12. Nationally, only about 84% of people make it, or nationally, about 84% learners make it all the way to grade 10. And then from grade 11 and grade 12, we see the biggest dropout. And this is why data matters. And this is why we have to have a deeper look into what the data tells us, so that we can have targeted interventions, so that we don't make sweeping statements about learner retention throughout the system. A retention rate of 84% is extremely high, but we must then ask ourselves the question, what are we going to do about the dropout rate that happens between grade 10 and grade 12? Retention matters. If learners exit the system before grade 12, the system then is not yet delivering quality at the scale at which we want, regardless of how strong the final pass rate is. Where we see lower retention alongside high performance, we must question that pattern carefully and fairly, and using data but not assumptions. This is about protecting learners and honest schools and ensuring that no one is pressured to improve statistics by closing doors of opportunity. If any learner is being discouraged, diverted, or left without support, whether of grade 12 or entirely out of gateway subject, then we must find it, we must stop it, and we must replace it with earlier support and keep doors of opportunity open. And we must continue strengthening learner tracking and early warnings between us and higher education and training, which is work that has already started, so that support and intervention can happen long before grade 12. That is why our biggest system health test is not only the pass rate, but whether or not learners stay the course from the early grades right through to grade 12. This data also shows a far more stable system. The largest share of candidates were 18 years old, a sign of on-time progression. The percentage of learners who were unable to sit for their exams has fallen sharply from 17% in 2017 to 2% today. Part-time candidates have also declined, reflecting a lower number of candidates who are seeking to repeat grade 12 given the improved performance. These trends also matter because they point to a far more stable system, and the stability is the platform on which we must build, and now we must build a strong foundation. Girls now outnumber boys by 56% to 44%, reflecting stronger protections of the girl child, including the removal of pregnancy as a barrier to education. But the boy child is increasingly being left behind, becoming underrepresented in matric cohorts and less likely than girls to return through second chance pathways. This imbalance requires urgent and targeted intervention. Ladies and gentlemen, subject choices by the class of 2025 remind us again of the long reach of weak foundations. Only 34% of candidates wrote mathematics, while the rest wrote mathematical literacy. This is concerning for us because mathematics is an important gateway subject. We're encouraged by the enrollment increases in mathematics and other gateway subjects such as accounting and physical science and other technical subjects. However, we would to see the performance matching that enrollment. So, in other words, the system is growing but not fast enough in the subjects that most powerfully shape access to further study in scarce skills and economic participation. And we as a department are dedicated to making sure that this improves dramatically. That is the quality challenge of the next phase. And this brings us to the second truth that we must face. That more learners writing doesn't always mean better results. The NSC results also show that we saw that learners who took mathematics in grade 12 increased, but we saw their performance dropping. This is a lesson for the country. If we want to widen gateway pathways, we must ensure that learners have foundational skills required to take on gateway subjects, but also not only to take them on, but to succeed in them. A healthy system must grow the number of learners taking maths, science without sacrificing quality. And that is why our next phase pairs with higher participation and stronger support. The team and I have decided that this is where we are going to be focusing for the next academic year, that we need to have greater support for learners, particularly between grade 10 and 12, so that we can make sure that they don't drop out and they stay the course, particularly in these gateway subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, inclusive education is another important quality test. The number of learners with special learning needs enrolled for the NSC exams has improved, increasing by 57%. The progress is not only in participation, but it is also in achievement. Significantly more learners with special education needs wrote and passed and achieved admission to bachelor passes in 2025. The biggest increases were recorded in the Free State and in the Western Cape, and we will work with other provinces to try and achieve similar increases. Challenges remain in ensuring that South African Sign Language is widely accessible as a sign language of learning and teaching. We currently have too few trained specialists to teach gateway subjects through sign language, and this requires our careful attention. In a country committed to dignity inclusion, we cannot only stop at just producing an exam paper. It must extend to accessing a full curriculum, including gateway subjects in sign language. We must also look at the quality of the passes being achieved, because this is where post-school opportunities is shaped. Here we look at passes that open doors to bachelor studies, diploma studies, and high certificate studies. While the national percentage of what we will call the bachelor passes has decreased slightly from 48% to 46%, more candidates than ever before in South Africa have increased with bachelor passes by 8,700, meaning we have 345,000 learners who achieved bachelor passes this year. I think they deserve a round of applause. That is a record number of bachelor passes that we have had thus far. A further 28% achieved diploma passes and 13.5% achieved higher certificate passes. And this is why quality matters. It tells us not only how many learners have crossed the line, but how well prepared they are for what comes next. And ladies and gentlemen, particularly for my district directors who are sitting on this side of the room, for the very first time, all 75 districts have achieved a pass rate of 80% and above. I could not be prouder of these 75 people who drive quality every single day in the districts, ensuring that policy is reflected in the classroom. District performance is one of the clearest quality indicators because it shows whether improvement is spreading system-wide or remaining concentrated in pockets of strength. We are building stability, but the struggle for equality must intensify, especially in our gateway subjects. The accounting pass rate decreased slightly from 81% to 78%, while mathematics decreased from 69 to 64. There was, however, an increase in physical science from 76% to 77%. And so, as we celebrate, ladies and gentlemen, we do so with clear eyes. The next phase is about deeper mastery, especially in gateway subjects. It is about increasing the number of learners taking and excelling in mathematics, physical science, and other gateway subjects with support so that opportunity expands without quality collapsing. And when we speak about equity, we speak about quality too. The 2025 results show us that excellence is spreading into communities that have carried the heaviest burdens. That they also remind us that the number of learners enrolling should never run ahead of our ability to ensure that they perform well. Our responsibility is to protect what is working, to deepen it so that achievement becomes durable and that progress is not measured by who gets through, but by how well learners are prepared to go beyond the school gate. We also see something else in these results, something that South Africans should all be very proud of, especially when life is hard and hope is sometimes short in supply. In township and rural communities, in no-fee schools, excellence is becoming a pattern. This year, we saw a sustained growth in the number of learners from no-fee schools achieving bachelor passes. This is a national message of hope that says poverty is not a destiny, and that where you come from does not mean that is where you will end up. And for many of these young people, bachelor passes will not only just open a door, it will change a family's story. It may mean the first university graduate in that home, the first teacher, the first lawyer, the first doctor, the first engineer, the first scientist in that family line. That person may be the first person to be able to break a cycle that has held generations back. And so we ought to be proud of these learners. Districts like Umkhanyakude and Umlazi remind us that outstanding outcomes can come from communities overwhelmed by lack and need. Over 66 of bachelor passes were obtained by candidates from no-fee schools. And more than, and more no-fee schools are achieving pass rates between 80 and 100%. Our task now is to protect what is working and deepen it to make it durable. And finally, we cannot separate education outcomes from learner well-being. While most social grant beneficiaries wrote the NSC exams in 2025, 78% of these candidates passed, down from 86% previously. That drop, despite more learners writing, is a warning that must be understood and addressed. Candidates with social grants performed far better than candidates whose social grants became inactive after reaching 18 years, highlighting the importance of social protection to learner performance. Social protection and education outcomes are completely interlinked, and so we will be engaging with the Department of Social Development to find more sustainable ways of ensuring that we protect grade 12 learners who are still actively in school to be able to access the social grant so that their academic performance doesn't drop. When we speak about deep roots, we also speak about the whole ecosystem which makes learning possible. And now, South Africa, having honored the work and faced the hard truths behind these numbers, let us come to the results themselves. In 2025, over 656,000 learners passed the National Senior Certificates. That figure carries the effort of every teacher, every learner, families in every corner of our country, so let us turn to the provincial results. In 9th place is the Eastern Cape that has achieved a pass rate of 84.17%. In 8th place is Limpopo that has achieved a pass rate of 86.15%. In 7th place, Mpumalanga has achieved a pass rate of 86.55%. In 6th place is the Northern Cape, having achieved... Okay, let me start again. In 6th place is the Northern Cape, having achieved a pass rate of 87.79%, marking the biggest improvement of all the provinces. In 4th place is the Northwest, having achieved 88.49%. In third place, wait for it. In 3rd place is Gauteng, having achieved a pass rate of 89.06%. It's anybody's guess now. In second place is the Free State, having achieved a pass rate of 89.33%. And the best performing province is KwaZulu-Natal with a pass rate of 90.6%. Okay. Teleprompter, move. Did I? Okay. And my apologies. My apologies. I forgot to mention, in fifth place is the Western Cape with a pass rate of 88.2%. I apologize, MEC. He probably thought I had amalgamated the Western Cape with another province. No, I did not. And now, ladies and gentlemen, nationally, the NSC pass rate is 88%, an increase from 0.7% from 2024. %8% is the highest pass rate in our country's history. To every premier, to every MEC, to every head of department, to every district director, to every principal, to every teacher, these outcomes are built day by day, term by term, year by year, and we honor the work that has gone behind them. Even as we celebrate progress, we have to be honest about the risks ahead. Austerity measures applied without care threaten the foundations we are working to strengthen. Early learning support and school nutrition. Reform requires patience and planning and sustained investment. Baobabs do not grow in a single season. Taken together, these results tell us a clear story. The system is more stable, participation is improving, inclusion is expanding, integrity is holding firm. But the results also confirm a central truth in our reform agenda, that without strong foundations in the early years, inequality will always return later. So then the new course we have set for the basic education system is defined by deep roots, strong foundations, and a long vision. It is focused on quality as much as it is on access, on safer schools as much as it is about ensuring that children can thrive by 5, on an education system that is able to claim Africa's demographic dividend. So this is not a rejection of the past. It is crossing into new territory, informed by experience, guided by evidence, and anchored in foundations strong enough to carry the future. But government cannot do this alone. Strengthening the foundations of learning is a national project. Kubazali bethu masiqinisekise ukuba abantwana bayafundelwa ingakumbi ngolwimi lwabo. Masibakhuthaza abantwana bethu basihambe isikolo ukwenzela baze bagqwese. To teachers and school leadership, protect learning time, use evidence-based learning grade methods, support one another through collaboration and professional learning communities. And to provinces and districts, prioritize ECDs, foundation phase staffing, timetables, teacher support materials, because these are incredibly important. And to communities and partners, support early learning, school safety with action and accountability, because when we strengthen the first steps of learning, we change the last outcomes. To the class of 2025, I say, congratulations on breaking the record of the highest pass rate in South Africa. Siyazingcangani nisebenzile. You've shown resilience not only in these examinations, but across the years of learning in a country that has asked much of you. South Africa sees you, and to the learners of no-fee schools, you have shown the country what is possible. You have proven that talent lives everywhere, and that when we strengthen the roots, hope becomes an outcome but not a slogan. And to every learner who did not get the result that you had hoped for, you're not a failure, and your story is not over. There are pathways to improve your results through rewrites, support programs, and second chance opportunities. What matters now is that you take the next step with the support that you need. And finally, to South Africa, I say this: if we want to plant deeply, we must do so now. If we strengthen the foundations in difficult seasons, then in years to come, in generations to come, we will reap the benefits. I thank you. Diabulela, Dialebuha, Dilibua.
I think we all need another round of applause, one for the class of 2025, and the second one for KwaZulu-Natal. Congratulations to KZN. Honorable Minister, a very big thank you to you for that address and for sharing with the nation the achievements of the class of 2025. 88%. Amazing. Moving in the right direction, this education system. It is now time, ladies and gentlemen, for the presentation of awards for our top achievers that are sitting on the stage. For each category, we will recognize the third place, the second place, and then the first place as the top achiever. Achievements are calculated from 6 subjects, excluding life orientation, including 2 languages, and a learner's 4 best remaining subjects. Only full-time candidates with valid results qualify. Now, ties are then broken through mathematics and physical science performance. For subject awards, the highest final mark and exam performance determine the winners. This year, there's an added category. We heard from the minister that accounting is doing really well. So accounting has been added to this category in quintile 1, 2, and 3. Minister and Deputy Minister, may you please come forward as we prepare to hand out the awards to our top achievers. All right, let us then start, ladies and gentlemen, with quintile 1. Deep Sluit Secondary School number 2, Malata Tanya Mutimela from Gauteng. In second place, Samkelos Pamandlam Timkulu from Ubuhle Bezulu Secondary School in Mpumalanga. And in first place, from Mpumalanga, Elangwane Secondary School, Luyanda Ndlozi. We'll afford a photo moment for Luyanda. Congratulations to you, Luyanda. Let's move over to mathematics now. In third place, Tabang Mkukuma Mashihu from Kutalani Secondary School in Mpumalanga. In second place, from the top province, all the way to Lionel Dada from Tugela Secondary in KwaZulu-Natal. And in first place, seems like Mpumalanga's taking these ones. Siyaya welcome Nkuna from Inkomazi Secondary School. What we need to remember, ladies and gentlemen, about these learners is that they would have gotten full marks. 300 out of 300 for mathematics. Absolutely amazing. Let's move over then to quintile 2. We'll start with Limpopo, Sikelele Senior Secondary, Thabo Siyota in third place. In second place, we've got Angie Fortune Ntuli from Pumzile Secondary School in Mpumalanga. And in first place, Temogo Matong from Sitwahosing High School in the Northwest. In quintile 3 now. In third place, we'll start off in KZN with Matube Sizwe High School, take from Sinamele Prudence Tabete. In second place, we've got Ndibuweni Fetisani from Tengwa Secondary School in Limpopo. And in first place for quintile 3, Bokang Vincent Mukubung from Blue Gumbosh Senior Secondary in the Free State. Let's move over then to physical science in quintile 3. We'll start with third place, Emma Clarence Boyens from Clarendon Girls High School from the Eastern Cape. In second place, Arinza Anthony Nwafo from Chikweba Christian School in Limpopo. And in first place from the Western Cape, Abigail Koch from York High School. And this is for physical science, ladies and gentlemen. Well done to you, Abigail. In quintile 4, we'll start in Limpopo, Maduba Stephen Munyai from Toyando Secondary. In second place, we've got Simesihle Angoba Owami Kuzwayo from King Beguzulu High School in KwaZulu-Natal. And in first place, KZN, you keep taking it, Ethan Neil Naika from Port Shepstone Secondary. Doing phenomenally well from quintile 4, Ethan. Congratulations to you. And we'll go to technical science in quintile 4. This is the technicalities that could be quite tricky. We'll start in Eastern Cape. The third place is Ngazipini Unatin Tungwa, Isikoba Nombewu Secondary School in the Eastern Cape. In second place, Thabo Matake from Leola High in Limpopo. And I think, Deputy Minister, I know that you love the Mpumalanga province. We need to see what's happening at DD Mabuza Comprehensive. First place, going to DD Mabuza Comprehensive School, Sheriff Brandon Group. We'll move over then to quintile 5. In third place, Greenside High School in Gauteng, Mahir Modi. In second place, Collegiate Girls High School, Maria Caitlin Frietz from the Eastern Cape. And in first place, Abigail, you should have done, Abigail Koch from York High School in the Western Cape. Abigail taking her second certificate this evening. Congratulations to you, Abigail. Let's move over to accounting in quintile 1, 2, and 3. It's the category that has been added this year. In third place, we've got Sisona Masingili from Sotayisa Secondary School in Eastern Cape. In second place, we've got Ndibuweni Rodney Fetisani from Tengwa Secondary School in Limpopo. And staying in the Limpopo province, we've got Kweba Commercial Muchizi Obri Ramoba. Come up, you're in first place for accounting. Your background does not determine where you go. South African Sign Language is our next category, ladies and gentlemen. In third place, Nonduduzo Mtabiseni Mkize from Fulton School for the Deaf in KZN. In second place, we've got Amahle Ngidi from St. Martin de Porres Comprehensive in KZN. And can we guess who took first place? KZN, Kwatintwa School for the Deaf. Tobani Mhlengi Shenzi, please come forward. So KZN took all that, the South African Sign Language, first, second, and third place. Congratulations. Moving on to learners with special educational needs. This is our next category. In third place, Tibato Isaac Mokonyane from Rivoni School for the Blind in Limpopo. In second place, Mpho Doris Mchaka from Situtulwane Secondary School, also in Limpopo. And in first place, we've got Takunda Praise Muchuweni from Yan Kriel School in the Western Cape. Over then to the Ministers Award. In Mpumalanga, Sanele Nkosepeyo Filagazi from Makause Combined School. And we've got from JP High School, our 2025 National Senior Certificate National Top Achiever. We'll start off in Gauteng Province. Kamukhelo Aaron Chabalala, Ecuador College Kirkness and Independent Schools. Can we please give Kamukhelo a round of applause? He's the National Top Achiever for Independent Schools. And for public schools, the Western Cape taking it, York High School. Abigail, come get your certificate. Abigail Cock. Let's keep those round of applause going. She is the top achiever for public schools in the whole country, ladies and gentlemen. Abigail would be the top achiever out of all the learners that wrote the National Senior Certificate. She is #1 in the country. Congratulations to you, Abigail. Minister, Deputy Minister, thank you so much. You may take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give our learners another round of applause. Now, I'd like to invite the Deputy Minister of Basic Education, Dr. Regina Mhaule, to come to the podium, and she has played a vital role in supporting our learners and the education system. The DM, as I often say, is no stranger to the education sector. She has led with extreme distinction for more than 15 years. Can I actually say 20 years to that DM, that she's led with extreme distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, please give our Deputy Minister, Dr. Regina Mhaule, a round of applause for the votes of thanks.
Thank you so much, Tseho. Honorable, the MEC, the Minister, not the MEC, the Minister of Basic Education in the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Sivio Kwahub. I always, as a teacher, wherever I am, correct people to say, don't say Honorable Minister. You say Minister, Honorable Kwahube. The Premier of Gauteng, Honorable Panyaza Lusuf. The MECs from all 9 provinces. We are so proud that you are all here today. We really appreciate the good work that we have done as provinces. Members of the Portfolio Committee, both committees from the National Council of Provinces and the Portfolio Committee from the National Assembly and the chairpersons, thank you very much. Without you following us and chasing us, we would not be celebrating today. Our chairperson is Honorable Maimela and Honorable Feni. The DG in the presidency, thank you so much, Ma, for always supporting education. And your supporting education makes the president also to support education, because the education is the foundation for all professions. The DG of the Department of Basic Education, DG of Higher Education, I can see you are shivering when you look at the numbers. Where is he? DG Higher Education. Oh, he ran away, because he ran away from the numbers. When he look at the numbers, because he still has a backlog from last year, it's high numbers. And now we produce other numbers. Now he had to run away because we have caused problems for him and the sector in general. Leaders of our entities, Umalusi, the CEO, the chairperson, says chairperson and the CEO, NECT, chairperson and the CEO, I know you are all here. Union representatives, the ones that are representing all our teachers, more than 460,000 teachers that we have in the country. Representatives of the school governing bodies, I know you are here today. You are the governors of the schools. We are here for policy and support, but you are doing the groundwork. Heads of departments, I saw the head of department of KwaZulu-Natal and Northwest, they were so excited. Parents, caregivers, all officials of the department, district directors, I know that you want to be, if we say officials, you feel you are not part of it. District directors, the one on the coal face, where education is happening. The parents that are here today, I know there are those that are representing parents, the school governing bodies, but we have parents of these top learners that are in our midst, which to me, I say, they are proud parents. Ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonan, allow me to begin by extending my sincere appreciation to the Minister of Basic Education, Honorable Siviwe Kwagube, for her unwavering commitment to strengthening the basic education sector. She took over from Motshekga. When we speak of basic education, it started in 2009 by Minister Motshekga. Then she left it there, and Kwagube is the second Minister of Basic Education after Motshekga, who is the first Minister of Education. So I want to thank her that she never dropped the ball. Since she came in, the standard is going up. It would be amiss of me, of course, not to appreciate the work done by Minister Motshekga. It wasn't easy when she started basic education, it wasn't. But she took the department up to where it is stable. We are here today. I remember in 2021, when we exceed 80%, she was shivering to say, how are we going to maintain? And we all thought that we arrived there by chance. But fortunately, here we are today, and the system, as Minister indicated, that is stabilizing, is stable. Minister Motshekga and those that are representing her, please pass our sincere appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, want to start by thanking parents at home. Parents at home, because primary education starts with parents. It's parents who teach their child to speak, to concentrate, and to focus. So, would not have done justice if we don't say thank you, parents. Thank you, ECD practitioners, for you laid this foundation, this solid foundation, upon which our foundation phase educators worked on. And want to thank the foundation phase educators, want to thank the senior phase educators, intermediate phase, as well as the FET phase. They arrive at FET because they come from the foundation. And if the foundation is not strong, we would not be celebrating today. That's why we thank the grade R, grade 1 teachers up to grade 7. So, want to thank all our stakeholders. Education is everybody's enterprise. We are all here today because we take part actively and inactively in educational affairs. So want to appreciate all of you. We know that without you, we wouldn't be celebrating today. It takes the entire village at national level, from businesses, enterprises, whatever, all our stakeholders, to make sure that they support education. So this cohort, ladies and gentlemen, also began their high school journey during a period of the unprecedented disruption brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, limited contact time. And at that time, I remember very well, we did not focus on them, this class. We focused on the FET and we set them aside. But here they are. They are true, they display true resilience of the system. These learners stand before us today, having reached this important milestone, is a powerful testament to their resilience as well as the collective strength of the basic education sector with all its partners. We therefore extend our heartfelt thanks to the MECs of provinces. The work is done in provinces. We know that you have sleepless nights to make sure that learners are at school. As we're moving around Northwest Minister, we saw learners starting to be at school on Monday, this coming Monday, yet schools will say they are opening on Wednesday, but learners are already at schools, not only in Northwest. I say Northwest because I have experienced it, but all provinces, learners are at school. We really appreciate our district directors. Thank you very much for the work well done. Minister said there's not even a single district that obtains less than 80%, which means the system is strengthened from a better to better. The one thing that the minister did not do, which you would have loved to hear, was the announcement of the top 10 districts. I don't know why didn't they put it in minister's speech, the top 10 districts, of which 6 are from KwaZulu-Natal. Of the top 10, 6 are from KwaZulu-Natal. Rural, poor as they are, with Mkhanyakude being there, tops, number 2 after Johannesburg. Want to thank our Director General, a man, I don't know whether this man does sleep. I want to ask his wife if he does sleep. Because you live here at 11 o'clock, 6 o'clock he calls you, DM, I'm in Uppington. How did you arrive there? The following day, I'm in the Eastern Cape. The other day, he touches all the provinces in 2 weeks, which is very abnormal, but He touched every district, all the 775 districts, all the 75 districts. The DG touched all of them. Not once. During schools reopening, during exams, during the course of the year in supporting, he supports all our districts. Mr. Matanzi Mamoele, thank you so much, Baba. Want to thank the DDGs at the national level as well as in provinces, all senior managers at the 3 levels. We thank you for your professionalism, diligence, steadfast commitment in managing this complex and demanding process. We know that professional critics, when they want to criticize anything in the country, they criticize education. We also wish to acknowledge and thank all stakeholders in basic education, teacher unions, school governing body associations, civil society organizations, parents, caregivers, principals, teachers, support staff, education as assistants, and general assistants. Each of you has played a vital role in ensuring that teaching and learning continues, often in the face of considerable obstacles. Your contribution to the success of our learners cannot be overstated. Central to these achievements is the strength of the partnership we have built and continue to nurture across the education ecosystem. No single institution or department or individual can on their own deliver the outcome that our learners deserve. It's through collaboration between government, private sector, civil society, organized labor, communities, and families that we are able to extend opportunities, address inequality, and unlock the full potential of our education system. These partnerships enable innovation, mobilize resources, and ensure that support reaches learners where it is needed the most. They remind us that when we work together with a shared sense of purpose, we can achieve far much more than we ever could when we do it alone. It's in this spirit of partnership that we now express our sincere appreciation to our valued partners and sponsors. The MTN Foundation, our host sponsor, Old Mutual, First Rent Empowerment Fund, Santam, Sasol, AFBOP, Telcom Foundation, Vodacom Foundation, ShopRite Foundation, Kagiso Trust, Fondi, the Independent Development Trust, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, and the Sifiso Learning Group. Through your continued investment in education, you affirm your belief in the potential of our young people. The prizes and gifts presented today are a tangible demonstration of your commitment to shaping a brighter future of our learners. To our top achieving learners, once more, we commend you for your hard work, discipline, and determination. We also acknowledge the invaluable role played by your parents and families, whose support, encouragement, and sacrifices have contributed significantly to your success. Above all, I want to thank all of you. If you had not come to this event would not have been what it is today. All from all walks of life, you are here today. Our traditional leaders want to appreciate the Queen from Isilo Samazulu, who also wanted to come today. Said, I'm coming. After we invited her, she said, I am coming. Thank you so much, Ma, and pass our gratitude to the King for allowing you to come and be part with us. Want to thank all traditional leaders that are present here. Religious leaders, we know that you visit schools, you encourage our teachers who need psychosocial support. Our social workers are not enough, but you go to each and every school. No one is hindering religious leaders to go to schools. We want to thank you for the work that you are doing for education. We want to thank universities for producing the quality teachers that we have in our system, and especially the young cohort that are producing good results. As we prepare to embark on the next chapter of your lives, our children, we wish you every success in your future endeavors. Not only you, even those that are going to get their results tomorrow. And to those that have not made it, Minister said we are at 88%, which means we run short of 12%. And those 12% are human beings, and their parents expected a lot from them. I'm saying to parents, don't put more pressure on these children. Allow them a second chance. There's always a second time. There's always a second chance. The Department of Basic Education and its provinces are willing to give them a second chance. And most of the prominent people who are successful in life never had a single chance. They had 2, 3, or 4 chances in life. So let's not push our children to want them to produce what we never produced before. So to those that are successful, we wish you all the best. To our guests, you are all very important. We wish you a safe travel as you go back home, and may God bless you all. Thank you.
Deputy Minister, thank you so much for that address and the vote of thanks. Let's give her, please, another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That then brings us to the end of our program. It has been such an honor for me to have been part of this special occasion as your program director. For those driving back home this evening and even tomorrow morning, please be safe. My name is Tsegohatso Moagi. You can catch me every weekend mornings on Power FM and on YouTube, Conversations with Eminent Women. Have a lovely weekend further. Please, wherever you go, whoever you encounter, please be kind and protect your peace. Dinner is served. Bye-bye.